you back. I think of all the sports, we're kind of spread out with basketball. We started early and we've kind of spread out our meetings. I know that there are quite a few individuals that are out working tonight. So just an FYI, the makeup assignment for those individuals, if they are actually watching the video, all you have to do is in the makeup assignment, put what game you worked tonight and you get credit. No further instructions for those individuals, but that is what they need to do, is those words right there. I won't put it in the email, but they will get credit if they actually heard that part. If they want to actually fill out the summary and do the assignment, they can. But again, hint, hint, put in your game in the assignment summary comment and you get credit. With that, if you have questions throughout the presentation presented by the Northwest region, make sure that you do stay relevant to what we are asking. And as always, if you have a what if question, don't ask it, or save it until the end. With that, I'll pass that on to Dana.
So I guess the moral of that story is don't fast forward through Nate and I speaking, because you never know when that's going to actually be your assignment for your makeup work. So there's the lesson of the night. Welcome everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. And as Nate said, we know a lot of officials are working. We know that it's absolute crazy times right now. The fact that some of our assigners are on is a testament to their stamina right now, because I know they've been going through some major I'll edit myself, some major garbage right now as far as scheduling and rescheduling to reschedule. So assigners, thank you for hanging in with us. And it's only just begun, which I shouldn't have said out loud because that makes me sad. So before I turn it over to our presenters for the evening, just a couple of housekeeping items that we need to cover since we've got multi-regional representation on tonight. First, one of the things that has been brought to my attention by a couple of assigners is actually, as officials, make sure that the crew chief on each game is verifying the contest with athletic directors prior to going to the contest. So we've had a couple of situations where there have been cancellations that the assigner wasn't even aware of, and it got to where officials showed up and nobody had verified. So if you could just make sure as the crew chief on your games, you're checking in with the athletic director, be it phone call, email, anything like that. We do have an AD's directory on the NMOA website, and you can find that. I can also send you out the link to make it easy for you. So if you can, please make sure that you're confirming those. We're also sending an email out to the athletic directors on the other side of things to remind them to ensure that their schedules are accurate and that changes go through the assigner instead of the officials, because we're having that happen and it's causing some issues. So we'll make sure that we cover it on the AD end as well. The second thing, and I know you're probably not at all excited to hear this, but the masks are going to be the bane of our existence, I believe. But we've had a conversation. Oh, thank you, Nate. So Nate just put the AD contact list in the chat. If you want to copy and paste that email or that website, that would help you with any contacts. I believe the AD cell numbers are on there as well, so you have a number of ways to get a hold of them. So we are having already in the early season, we're having issues with mask compliance. And I know everybody on this webinar feels the same way Nate and I do, that this should be a coach responsibility. However, because it's not being taken care of, we're asking officials, as you saw in an email from maybe last week, maybe a month ago, I don't remember, it all blends together, that there is a procedure, a protocol for that. So the first time a player's mask comes off, the official must tell that player to cover his or her nose or mouth with the mask. The official will inform the head coach that the player has been notified. The next time any player on the same team has his or her mask not covering his or her nose and mouth, that player shall leave the game until the next opportunity to substitute. The official shall enforce this rule at the next dead ball after observing the infraction. Play shall not be stopped for enforcement of the mask policy. So remember, there's a difference between the mask falling down due to the course of play, an intentional act of taking their mask down. So we had an example in the sport of soccer from a quarterfinal game yesterday where the player had her mask on, went to do a corner kick, and right before she took the corner kick, she actually grabbed her mask, pulled it down, and put it around her chin. To me, that's a deliberate act. If somebody's running and it slides down, and at the next chance you just tell them, hey, put your mask up, that would be appropriate. So there's a difference between a kid who is deliberately taking the mask down and somebody who it just falls down because they're running and sweating and all of that. Nate's going to give you some examples, but one of the things we were talking about earlier is it's no different than tuck your shirt in. It's that same kind of thing. So you all hate doing that probably as well, but it's part of it. So, you know, just tuck your shirt in, put your mask up, that kind of thing. So what we fear is there's videos running around and circulating right now because a lot of games are being live streamed. And as those things get sent to the governor's office, which they do, Sally and our staff were just afraid that we're going to be a position where we get shut down. So we hate to put that on officials, but at this point, we're just looking for help. So Nate.
Yeah, when it comes to mask enforcement, honestly, it's as an official, it's just something else that we have to do. That's where we are all pretty good. We enforce rules, that is our job. And if the rule, whether we agree with it or not, is to enforce masks, then we do it. Now, obviously this year's theme, and if any of you read the Commissioner's Corner, it's do this with grace. Understand that the way we communicate with coaches and players, if we come off as put your mask on now, or I'm going to throw you out of the game, obviously our response isn't going to be accepted well or received in a positive light. There's a few things you can do if it's a player, you know, hey, 24, I need you to wear your mask. Okay, you're not a problem. Okay, but remember, warn them, notify the coach. Coach, you know, I had to warn 24. They're not wearing their mask. Will you take care of it? Can you take care of that for me, or can you help me with that? No problem. Or it's an argument, whatever the case may be. The next time any player on that team, coach, I'm going to need a sub for 32. Why? 32 is not properly wearing their mask. Well, it fell down during play. In my opinion, or in my judgment, this individual needs to be subbed out. Okay. And this is something we have to be consistent with. Okay. Statewide. And we've got 167 individuals on that, on this call. We all need to serve the game, and we need to do it. It is a rule that has been implemented. Again, we don't have to agree with it, but we have to enforce it. And that's what we do. We are the keepers of the game, and that's what we do. You know, start the game, protocol, pregame protocol, and this already is being done inconsistently statewide, but pregame, okay? It's not captains, it's coaches, center circle with just the referee, okay? Not with the U1 and U2 or just the U1, it's just the referee and both head coaches. This is a great opportunity to take the time and say, coaches, and put it on the NMA, put it on Dana, Sally, myself, just say, you know what? The NMA is really putting a lot of pressure on us to enforce masks. Will you help us out? And so that, you know, that takes the heat off of you. The last thing we want is to add something that fuels coaches when the game already is intense, or coaches are intense. But if you put it back on us, we'll take the heat, because trust me, we're already taking the heat on, Dana and I are taking the heat on officials that aren't enforcing masks, right? And like she said, we're getting videos and pictures daily. And who do you think they're blaming? They're not blaming the coaches. They're not blaming the players. They're blaming the officials. And Dana and I are frustrated because it shouldn't be our job but yet, it is. And that's okay, because I know that as an organization, as an association, we're that good. If we need to enforce it, we're going to enforce it, and then we're going to handle it. But again, the communication with coaches, has to be, I've already gotten calls from ADs that, hey, officials yelling at our coach because they weren't wearing their mask. Well, don't yell at them, just let them know. Now, if it is a problem, okay, and Dana will probably touch in on this. If it's a problem, then in fact, I'll even skip that. I'll let Dana explain that, because she had a little bit more in-depth conversation about that today. But just communicate. Players for sure handle that. Communicate with the coach, sub them out. A substitution is not going to hurt them. It's not a technical foul. It's not and it's literally one possession until the next dead ball. Then they can bring their sub in. But unless we enforce that, they're not going to change. They're going to continue to think that they can get away with it. And that's what's happening right now and I know it's hard, because it's easy to just say, hey, 32, pick up your mask. 32, come on, help me out. And you warn them 4 times. Well, honestly, they don't care. Okay. They don't care. So just take care of it. The first substitution, the first time you sub that player out, guarantee it's going to be corrected. And not only are you helping your game, you're helping every game around the state. So with that, I'll finish and let Dana finish this out.
So in talking to Sally, what she did say is, if you have a team where it's just persistent and the coaches have their mask down because they're supposed to be wearing them too, write a report to me and I'll send it to Sally, because then she will take additional action against the coach for failure to not only wear a mask on their own, but also to ensure that their kids are. It's no different than them being properly equipped and uniformed in every other way. So if you have a coach that's being difficult about it and a team who you just notice that the kids are all deliberately taking masks down, those are the things that Sally needs to be aware of, so she can address them from her level. So just do that. And then one of the other things we heard in the first week is there are officials who are taking their masks off during the course of the game. So again, that's just now we're not role modeling well. So just make sure you keep that on. I know it stinks. I've tried just to check it out. I've worked out with a mask on and I was like, this is awful. So I understand that it's not a whole lot of fun, but just make sure you keep that mask up as you're officiating as well, because there's just, I feel like there's eyes on all of us, be it players, coaches, officials, and people are kind of looking for us to fail. And that's what we don't want to have happen. So if you have any questions about that, feel free to holler at me offline and we can have that conversation. But Sally and I had a talk at about 2:00 this afternoon, and she asked that I address it with you all tonight. So, we'll monitor things for the next week or so. And then if things are still bad and coaches are still not taking care of it, then we'll find we'll have to figure out a different recourse. But for now, if you could just follow that protocol we sent out, we would appreciate it greatly. So enough of masks. We've bored you enough with that. So we will now turn it over to more entertaining presenters than Nate and myself, because we weren't entertaining at all. Our Northwest region is our presenter for meeting number 9, I believe tonight is. As Nate said, we started these meetings in October when we thought we were having a season, and then we had to delay them. So it's been kind of a strange year in many ways. But tonight we have Wayne Antonson and Bobby Sitton as our presenters tonight from the Northwest region. And without further ado, I will turn it over to those gentlemen. So Wayne and Bobby, the floor is yours. And thanks for letting us steal some of your time. We appreciate it.
You bet. You're very welcome. Hey, first off, I just want to throw a big shout out there to Dana and Nate for leading us through these times. It's I can't imagine what everything that's coming your way. And I just want a big public shout out to both of you. Nate, if Nate doesn't get 2-3 emails a day from Wayne, something's wrong. I'm sure he's thinking. But no, he helps me out immensely with arbiter issues, scoping people into our group. We had a number of guys that joined us from Colorado this year, and we got the reciprocals going. So thank you for that. And also a few new officials that started with us and getting them going. We all know the importance of getting our officials started right away. So it was like just a hats off to you too. Thank you so much for what you've done for us this year. First off, I'd just like to say, you know, it's been 7, 8, 9 days now that we've been back on the court, and I'm sure I'm speaking for all the officials in New Mexico. It's really great to be back on the court, isn't it? Didn't really realize how much we missed it. That I know the big reason that I officiate is just to be part of that game out there and that great camaraderie in the locker room before we head out to the court. Didn't really realize how much I missed it. I knew I missed it, but just to be back with the guys and gals officiating basketball, doing what we love out there, because we know we're not doing it for the money, is a lot of fun. So with that, I'll give you a little bit of background, bore you about myself a little bit, maybe at the risk of dating myself, giving my officiating background. So I started officiating in college, and that was in 1976. So you can do the math. I won't bore you with that, but I started then, and I remember, I think it was my first or second game. I went over to it was a Catholic grade school in East Grand Forks, Minnesota. And I went over there and we called ball game. I think it was a couple of new guys back then. You know, you just got thrown to the wolves, and called the ball game. We went up on the stage, and I got dressed afterwards. And the athletic director, he was also the coach at the time, he came up there and chewed us out for about 15 minutes about how horrible we were. And then he threw a $6.50 check at each of us. So there must have been the love of the game, because it certainly wasn't the money or the feeling of being wanted at that time. The other little story was, you know, I think it was the first varsity game I did up there. We're traveling across the plains of North Dakota, and it was about a 40-mile-an-hour wind and snow and blizzard, and we're going out to a little school out there, and I'm thinking, what am I doing? Going out here in the middle of nowhere. And I think we picked up about $12 and $12 to $13 for that ball game. But it was a love of the game, and here I am X amount of years later, and doing what I love. I officiated for about 10 years after that, and then I raised my children around the house. So I took about 15 years away from the game. And then I came back in 1998 here in Farmington. It was like the game had passed me by. These kids were going up and down the court, and what's going on out here? This isn't what I remember. So got adjusted to that after a couple of years, and enjoying that. In 2005, I went over to Santa Fe for a couple of years and spent some time over there. A great group of guys again, David, Leon, Gary, Fabian, Ronnie, some of those guys. I'm sure I'm leaving some people out, but had a great time. And if you haven't called basketball in northern New Mexico at either Pecos or Mora, you really haven't experienced it, and they'll attest to that. So it was a lot of fun. And then I came back here in 2007 to Farmington again. I've been the group leader here for past 3 years, enjoying that position, trying to, you know, get more officials into our into the officiating, and get a passion for it that we have. So with that, Dana, if you just want to start with the slides, I'll kind of go through our topics tonight.
Hang on just a second. I'm having a technical difficulty. Keep talking. I'll get it pulled
Okay.
up.
All right, so I'll just start talking because I printed off my slides that talk about. So this year up here, I thought that we talk about block charge fouls. Block charge fouls are a point of emphasis with NFHS currently. So I thought I would take that for our topic leading in tonight. So evidently the rules committee doesn't feel that we're getting enough of these plays right as officials out there. So what I thought, well, how are we going to improve upon this? You know, in order to improve our play calling percentages, we're going to have to ensure that our foundations and our principles for officiating these plays are correct. So no better way than that and getting back to the basics, officiating mechanics and the rule books. So tonight, Bobby and myself, we help all of us do a better job officiating these plays and get a higher percentage of these plays correct. Then we can move it off the points of emphasis on our next rules book. So legal guarding principles. So starting off, to obtain that initial legal guarding position on a player with the ball, the defender must get to the spot first without contact. Have both feet touching the playing court and initially facing the opponent. Once that initial guarding position has been obtained, the defender may move laterally or at an angle or backward in order to maintain a legal guarding position. Keep in mind that when a defender obtains an initial position with both feet touching the playing court and facing his or her opponent, the defender need not be stationary. Now, I know we've all gotten yelled at, well, he was moving or she was moving. Well, they can. Once they've got that initial spot, they can move. They just can't come forward into their opponent. And they may continue to move in order to stay in front of the person with the ball. What can the defender do? Once the defender obtains a legal guarding position, the defender may raise his or her hands in a normal stance or may jump vertically within his or her vertical plane. Like we've always said, they have just as much right to be on that spot on the court as the player with the offense. So I give you a little bit of my take. I'm probably wrong, but this is my take why this year that it's a point of emphasis is that I believe that the rules committee feels that we're calling too many blocks and these type of things, fouls on the defense, and that our defenses are working hard out there and we're not rewarding them for them. So that's another reason I kind of gone through this. So guarding principles. A defender may also turn or duck to absorb the shock of imminent contact. And I thought I'd throw a picture out there of a mask on. Properly worn, New Mexico, so enjoy it. So officials, keep an eye on that one out there. All right. Guarding principles. A player is never permitted to move into the path of an opponent after the opponent has jumped into the air. Now, this is a tough play to officiate, right? Because we're refereeing the defense, and at the same time, we got to know when that offensive player has left the floor. Difficult play to officiate. Get our defender first, and then make sure out of that other corner of our eye that we're getting that offensive player and what they've done. Difficult to officiate, but concentrate again on the basic. Get your defender, and then when your offensive player has left the floor. All right, some guarding no-nos out there. A player cannot extend an arm, shoulder, hip, or leg into the path of an opponent and cause contact. It is not considered to be in legal guarding position. So, points to remember when guarding a player with the ball. Time and distance are of no consequence. Let me repeat that again. Time and distance when guarding a player with a ball are of no consequence. If the defender gets to that spot first and is in legal guarding position, the onus is on the player with the ball. Let me repeat that one more time. If the defender gets to the spot first and is in legal guarding position, the onus is on the player with the ball. Next slide. So, guarding a player with a ball. A defender is never permitted to move into an opponent and cause contact. Remember, we talked about moving side to side and backwards, but they can't move into it. If we get good open looks on these plays, guys and gals. That's how we officiate these plays. Move to improve, get good open looks. That's how we're going to officiate this play correctly. If a player with the ball gets his or her shoulders past the front of the torso of the defender and contact occurs, the greater responsibility for the subsequent contact is on the defender. In order for the defender to reobtain a legal guarding position, all guarding a player with the ball criteria must be met once again. All right. When an offensive player receives a long pass. Now this is a play that we're going to see in transition all the time, and I can think of one back about 3-4 years, and I know I got it wrong. Just thinking as I'm going through this, I know I got that play wrong. C is going to have a lot of these plays after that second pass that's coming up the court when teams are pressing all the time. When an offensive player receives a pass with her back turned, once they have 1 foot on the ground on the playing court and crashes into an opponent who has obtained legal guarding position, it's a player control foul. Well, think about this play in your head about what happened. They're getting the ball. They got 1 foot on the ground. They came around and hit that offensive player. It's a player control foul. So let's get that one right this year, like I didn't 3-4 years ago now. These are bang, bang plays in transition. Remember that. C is going to have a lot of these calls. These are bang, bang plays. Remember, 1 foot on the court, and we're shipping it the other way. All right, next slide, please. Okay, some off-ball plays without guarding, without the ball. Time and distance are key factors here. They are key factors here on off-ball plays with the ball. The distance allowed depends on the speed at which the offensive player is moving, with the distance never to exceed 2 strides, regardless of how fast he or she is moving. Repeat that one more time. Time and distance are the key factors here. The distance allowed depends on the speed at which the offensive player is moving, with the distance never to exceed 2 strides, regardless of how fast he or she is moving. Once the defender has met the criteria of both feet touching the court and initially facing the opponent, the defender has obtained a legal guarding position. Position and may move the same as if she were guarding a player with the ball. If the opponent is airborne, the guard must have attained legal position before the opponent left the floor. All right, next slide. Okay, I think that's it for that part. I'm going to cover some plays that Benson had broken down from the Gallup group. He was officiating tonight, so he couldn't present this. So I'm going to go through his PowerPoint with him. If you have that, Dana. So again, he talked about legal guarding before some of his plays here. Just reviewing, obtaining an initial legal guarding position on a player with the ball. The defender must get to the spot without contact, both feet touching the floor, and initially face the opponent within 6 feet. A player is never permitted to move into the path of an opponent after the opponent has jumped into the air. So this first play is a Gallup High School versus Los Lunas play. I don't know if you got that teed up, Nate or Dana.
I didn't get that presentation. I just have yours.
Say that again, Dana.
Lead is on this play. Lead is wide, looking between the players. Lead didn't have a no call on this particular play. Player A displays player B.
Hey, hold on a second, Wayne. Dana, you said you did not get that one?
I did not. I have things I didn't have.
Hold on, you're muffled.
Oh, that's good. Can you hear me?
Now we can.
I don't have Benson's. I only had Wayne's.
Okay, hold on. I may have. Let me
Okay.
see if I can pull it up. I'll try.
Sorry.
No worries.
Was it in the email?
There were multiple emails, so hold on.
Okay.
There were multiple emails, so hold on. 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 There were multiple emails, so hold on
Okay, now's a good time. If anybody has questions for Wayne at this point, please ask away while we're looking for this.
There were a couple
Mud, right?
questions. Dana, there were a couple questions about end of game situation. So while I'm looking for this, I'll discuss this.
Okay.
For example, we start the game with the coin flip, and I don't know how that's been going for everyone. I haven't really watched too many games. Or there is no coin flip at the beginning of the game. The visiting team shall receive the first throw-in, with the alternating possession going to the home team after the legal throw-in. Now, if we do go into overtime, there's been some question, and we really haven't given you any direction on who calls the coin toss. In most sports that have a coin flip, the visiting team calls.
And I did get confirmation from Sally on that, Nate. It is the visiting team in overtime.
Okay.
So I
Okay,
just
good.
got that. I apologize for not sending that to you. And you know how the week's been.
So, and did we get clarification on who call? Is it the head coaches, just like the pregame, or is it captains?
She didn't say. Actually, she just said who was supposed to call.
Again, we can probably get clarification. If that happens before we give you clarification, I would just say go with the coaches, since they were the ones at the pregame meeting.
I would agree.
And then you go from there. Does anybody have any questions on that? Hey, Wayne, do you want to email me Benson's real quick? We do not have it. I'm going through your emails, unless it came. Did it come from Bobby? Bobby, did it come from you?
No, I just sent you my place.
Yeah, I have yours.
Let's see if I got it here.
While Wayne's looking for that, are there any questions on, and then same direction in overtime? Yes. There was a question about same direction, just like we would in a actual overtime game. Teams would play at the basket of their bench. There was a comment earlier to make sure that if you do sub out a player for a mask violation or infraction, the coach, just like any other time, can buy that player in with a timeout. And I know that there has been a couple of situations like that where the coach has called timeout and that player is allowed to sub back in. But if you ask me, if they want to spend a timeout, especially to bring in, then I think that's just as good. Hopefully that continues to send that message.
Nate, I'm not able to do that. I'll maybe we can go on. You can go into Bobby's, and I'll finish it off after mine. I'll try to get it pulled up here.
Yeah, no worries.
I was looking at my sent file, Nate, and I'm not finding it.
No worries. And Bobby, do you have slides, or is it just talking points in the clips?
Just the talking points and then the clips.
Perfect. I'll start pulling those up.
Okay, perfect. So a lot of what Wayne said, just to kind of reiterate some of that, when we're dealing with the block charge calls, that's what you'll also hear in pre-games, or we'll be talking about it. Those are those 50-50 plays. They happen, and Wayne said it perfectly. It's a bang bang play. It's happening just so fast. So when that happens, we want to work on being consistent on those plays. So when obviously 50-50, I mean, it could go either way, especially when time and distance doesn't matter that much, or doesn't matter at all on there for establishing that legal guarding position. It's all in how we are we're working to get our angles and getting instant feedback from what we're seeing on the game. And the faster the kids are getting, more athletic they're getting, the more difficult that it becomes. So the more important it is for us to train like the kids start training and be better at this, start watching more plays, start watching our own plays to become better at this. Pre-game it during your pre-game conferences, talk about those plays and how you're going to call them as a crew. And then during the course of a game, be aware of those plays as they're being called, so that, and we're staying and we're consistent as a crew and as association, as a state, as we grow as officials. That, okay, it happens, oh man, this was a 50-50 play here on this drive to the basket, we called it a charge or we called it a block. Well, we have a similar play on the other end or 2 plays later, and we reverse ourselves. Now we don't look consistent. We're not calling the same. So it adds to the confusion, makes our jobs a lot more difficult. So always pregame those, always look at those plays, self-assess, and as a crew, assess yourself and be honest with yourselves and the crew about the feedback that you give to it. Okay, so I think that's very important when you're looking at these plays. So just to reiterate a lot of what Wayne said, obviously you got to have the 2 feet on the floor, start off facing the opponent. And like you said, no time or distance is required. You can move side to side or backwards, and you can absorb that contact. Wayne said this, you will always say, oh, they were moving. Well, by the legal definition, by rule, they are allowed to move as long as they move properly. And that just basically eliminates being able to move forward into the path of the ball handler. So as long as they're not moving forward and they've established and maintained legal guarding position, they are allowed that movement. They can jump up and down. They can move backwards. They can move laterally. They can move however they need to, as long as it's not forward into the path of that ball handler. One of the things that needs to be added to that as well, they have to maintain their stance within their frame. Some of the ball handlers are getting good at what we call that Euro step. So as they make that move around, you're seeing these defenders kind of starting to lean into the path of, or they're sticking a knee out. Well, they're no longer maintaining that legal guarding position. They're moving into it, or they're anticipating the contact and they start to fall prior to contact, and then they're on the ground, and now they're creating a hazard for the ball handler when they're coming down. Those, we got to do a better job of calling that blocking foul in that regard as well. When they stick that knee out, when they stick those arms out, the legs out, however, or fall prematurely, we got to make those calls. So with that said, how do we get better in making the right calls? Number one, we don't want to be surprised. When bodies are on the floor, we got to have a whistle on the play. We got to know how they got there. And we have to have the fortitude to make that call, because it's one of the toughest calls. And if we come into it surprised, we swallow our whistles, we have players on the floor and nothing, and our game becomes a wreck. So good, bad, or otherwise, you got to make that call. Blow your whistle, have a block, have a charge, whatever it is, have the call. Okay. But then look at the consistency of it. Make sure that we're trying to be better as a crew. Another way to be better at these calls, we got to be strong in our primaries. If we're a weak primary official, we can't help but get the play wrong. So we got to be stronger. We got to know what is the offense running. We got to know how what defenses are being played, how they're playing it. Are they playing that man-to-man? Are they playing the zones? What kind of basketball is being played night to night? And it's different from one team to the next. So if we are not aware of what they're playing, of what the kids are playing, our odds go down drastically to get the plays right. So we got to know these things. We got to do our work. If you're unfamiliar with the teams, what they're running, what they're playing, call a partner, call somebody from the previous game that's worked them, find out some information prior to, so that you're not surprised going into the game. Just be prepared, be aware of it. The other thing, always work hard. I know we've heard this over and over, probably every meeting, every clinic, everything I've ever gone to, that we've all ever gone to, we always hear work hard, find the angles, get in position. The harder we work, the better the angles we get, our percentages of getting these plays go up exponentially. So always work hard, always find that angle. Okay. In those transition plays, bust your tail to get into position, to see through, to watch that angle. The other thing, we don't want to be officiating the offense. We don't want to be ball watching. If we're officiating the offense, we're ball watching. And once we're ball watching, the best call we can make is a guess call. And odds are on that, it's going to be the wrong call. So never guess, never ball watch. Always try to officiate the defense. So be strong in your primary, officiate the defense, and you're going to know who's creating that contact. Is the defense moving forward, or did they get their feet set and offense created the contact? A term that I heard that I liked years ago is they went to and through. So did that offensive player, did they go to and through the defender with the ball? So if they were set and offense made contact, went through them, you got that charge. That defense takes that step forward and they initiate that contact, boom, you got the block foul. Now, wish it was as easy as what it sounds, but it helps, and our probability of getting the calls right goes up when we do a better job in our primaries and officiate that defense. One of the other things, these plays, they're big time plays, and that's what gets the crowd riled up. That's what gets the one team or the other riled up, the coaches riled up when they make a great defensive play or a great offensive play. And we got to be careful not to get caught up in that hype. Let that be the kids, let that be the fans, let that be the emotion in the game. We can high five and bump and pound fist when we're off the court in the locker room. That's our time. On the court, that's the kids' time. That's the coach's time. That's the fans' time, not our time. So don't hype it up. Don't showboat that call. Just have it be solid, be consistent. And the next thing to get those plays right, always breathe, always be relaxed, and that'll help you avoid tunnel vision and missing the call. So just always be prepared, take a good deep breath, be ready. You've done the work, you've put in the effort, and go out and make that call, make that tough call. The last thing I'll say on that, before we go to some of the plays, is there's an opportunity for double whistles on these. Okay. When it's coming out of trail's primary and going into lead, oftentimes we can have a double whistle. Be patient on those whistles, because the last thing we want is that blarge. So come together, have a brief conversation. Don't just start selling a call if there's two whistles going, because that can lead to the blarge. So be careful of that. So Nate, with that, if you got play one pulled up, we can take a look at it.
Sure. And real quick, I'm going to actually give a clarification. I had to reach out to my rules mentor, Mr. Robert Abney, on uniform rules. A coach may not sub or call a timeout to buy their player in for a uniform infraction. So we will enforce the same uniform rule with mask issues. So 335 is the rules reference. 335 is the rules reference. They may not call a timeout to buy their player back in. So I stand corrected. Thank you, Mr. Abney, for correcting me. And actually, Mr. Nunez and a few others that sent me some text messages about that. So Thank you. So we cannot buy them in. They have to come back in after a live ball, dead ball. So I hope that clarifies that. And we can discuss that towards the end. All right, here we go. Are we up? Can you see
Yeah,
it?
that looks
Bobby?
good.
All
Yes,
right.
I can see that one. Yeah, so this is going to be a transition play. It's a turnover, transition down the court. So watch the hustle of the trail official, his angle, see what you guys think of the angle that they get, and then again we're going to have that contact going in transition to the play. Go ahead, Nate. Okay, so on this play, again, we got the turnover. This is one easily we could call that 50-50 bang bang transition play. So, but when we look at it and we apply the rules and we apply what we've talked about, I believe the official did a good job of getting down into position. He even let the play kind of go by, and he's looking through. So by all accounts, I believe the official has a good angle looking through on that transition. However, when we look at this defense, they get 2 feet, and right there where it's paused, 2 feet are on the floor. He's facing his opponent before the ball is collected. Time and distance not being a factor, not needed. He's 2 feet on the floor. Offense goes to and through him. I believe the correct call should be a charge on that. But again, this is one of those plays. Discuss it. You're going to have those. We have those all the time in the game. If we have that similar play on the other end and we called it a block, we probably ought to call it a block the other way. But if we go charge on this, reward the defense. That's the key. We want to reward defense for playing good, solid defense. Too often they're getting ticky-tacked and getting called for plays that they probably shouldn't be called. So this is a good opportunity to reward the defense for playing good, solid defense. And as I watch this, I've watched it several times. And I think, yeah, okay, I could see where it could be a charge, or I could see where it could be a block. Again, that's why it's one of those 50-50 plays. But watch more of these types of plays. And did he establish defensive position? Did he get his feet set? Did he face up? If that's the case, reward the defense. If he didn't, reward the offense. I mean, I don't know if we have any questions on that. Nate, do you have any comments with that play?
Am I unmuted? Sorry. Where am I? No, actually that was a great explanation. Good job. Let's keep moving.
Okay,
Any
let's go ahead and
questions?
go to play 2.
All right.
Okay, in play 2, it's going to be kind of moving into the front court. Offensive players moving, I believe, left to right on this. Defensive players picking up presence. And so take a look, maybe again, 50-50, bang, bang. We're going to be looking at what the defense is doing here on this play, just slightly different than what we saw on the previous play. But also think about anticipation as the official, seeing what kind of game we have, what pressure's coming up. Could the official be in a little bit better position on this? So go ahead and play, Nate, if it's ready. So if you'll notice on this play, so again, similar, we don't have a turnover or transition on this, but we still have the contact. But if you watch the offensive player, he never quite gets that, or I mean the defensive player, he never quite gets defensive positionings established, even though he's 2 feet on the ground, he's facing up. as the offensive player moves to his right, the defensive player takes a step forward and therefore would be responsible for the contact on this, and the play would be properly called as a blocking foul. The one thing that I would say as the official, I think we're a little bit late in reacting to this, and so let's not get caught off guard on that, because I think he's a little straight lined on this, and so if he takes a couple of steps up quicker and anticipates the play, he has a better look at the play. I think he got the play right initially, I believe. However, he could have put himself in a little bit better positioning by anticipating the speed in which the ball handler's coming up, defense putting pressure on in that regard there. That's my opinion there. But I believe that would be a good blocking foul because the defensive player steps forward.
And for new officials, Bobby talks about good positioning. We talk about being parallel to the ball handler, or parallel to the ball handler and sideline oriented. So the E in between the D and the E here would probably be a great position coming up the floor, so that when this play starts to move faster, then this trail official can accelerate, and they're still now probably at the division line and they maintain that open look. This is definitely a hard look. If we continue to stay parallel to that ball handler, we are almost guaranteed great position. So at this point, if our trail is right here between the B and the E, on the B, we probably have a better look than where he is. Again, correct call. Staying connected to the play, absolutely does a great job. And that's just being nitpicky about position.
Exactly. Great point. And thanks for highlighting those areas there, Nate. I appreciate that. That's exactly what I was meaning by that. Thank you.
Yep.
And then unless there's any other questions, we're ready for play 3. Actually, and 3 and 4 are they're back to back. They're in that same, it's the same game, same sequence. And it's just, they're 2 plays that come right off on the heels of one another there. So I'll kind of set it up. This is one I know as an official, I missed this. This is something I need to be better at, for sure. But I think we can all be better at, because it's a tough play, and we got to reward. We talk about rewarding the defense for good defense, and this is a play on the first block charge that could be called, where the offense will take the end line. They'll make a drive on the end line, and they get themselves positioned behind the backboard. Defense is set up in a good defensive position. They're 2 feet on the floor. They're facing. Offense comes back from underneath the basket to shoot in no good position at all. And they create contact with the defensive player and displace the defensive player. Well, we either have a no call, which is what we have on this play incorrectly, I'll add, or we have a blocking foul. So we're rewarding the offense for poor positioning and penalizing the defense for good positioning. And again, this is something that I need to work on as well, and I want to be better at, but I don't know if we don't see it in a game as often, so we're not as good at it. But again, don't be surprised by it, and be prepared. Watch these plays and reward the defense for good defense. The next one kind of goes back to that. And again, 50-50 turnover, hard dunk to the basket. We get it caught up into the hype of the play, and hard dunk. Again, no problem with the charge foul, the block foul that gets called in the and one, but it could go either way on that one. So if you're ready, Nate, go ahead and push play. So again, I don't know how it's kind of tough to see where he's at, but when you, and I don't know if you can slow that down, Nate, as he's making that drive down the baseline and the position that the defense gets in. So right there, defense is set, offense is on the end line behind the basket, defense is set facing, all contact is initiated by the offensive player. Right there, we don't have a foul called. And that is, to me, an incorrect no call. We should have an offensive foul. Defense is set. Reward the defense for playing good defense. So then we get into what Randy Campbell will call a double jeopardy play. So we miss that play. They get a basket. Then they turn it over, have the bat play to the basket. Probably is a blocking foul. I mean, it's bang, bang. Now they get a basket, the dunk. They're rewarded with a foul, potentially a 5-point swing. And everything happens because we missed the first call. So one team is actually penalized twice and a potential 5-point swing in the game when we miss a call like that. So we got to be aware of not only what happens on a missed call or a no call, we got to be aware of what happens next. And we again, reward the defense for playing good defense on those. So any questions, or do you have anything else to add on that, Nate?
No, other than you're absolutely right about the whole double jeopardy thing, but definitely, man, this is just such a tough play. The only thing I would say is game management stuff. Off subject is our lead official just calls the block foul and one and leaves pretty much the scene of the crime. As you see, White kind of stands over the defender, and those are types of situations that can get us in trouble, but that's off subject. But other than that, that was a great explanation.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad you did bring that up, because I went to kind of the hype too. We get caught up in the hype of it, and he's walking away making the call. And you're right, we're missing the extra curricular stuff that's happening down on the baseline, the taunting and stuff. So great point on that. Thanks for bringing that up, Nate. So outside of that, those are the plays that I had and everything that I had on block charge. Guys, thank you for your time. And if there's any questions, glad to answer them. And thanks everybody for all that you do. And I'm glad that we're finally officiating basketball again.
Wayne, do you want to go through Ben, since I know we're a little tight on time? We're rolling up. I mean, Dana and I did take 15 minutes of your time. So do you want to go ahead and maybe show a couple of those?
Yeah, we'll run through them quickly.
Okay.
So like I said earlier, this first play, leads wide on this play, looking at the player. The player A displaces player B. I think sometimes we're rewarding these offensive players. They have the ball, so we think they got the freedom to do anything to get that shot off. And what this player clearly does is he displaces a defender on this play. Obviously, the coach wasn't happy afterwards on it, and he had a good look at it, but he just passed on it. I'm sure if he had that play again, he'd call it differently.
Hey, real quick, Wayne, just make sure that this is correct. Is this correct?
Roll it up a little bit. No, it's towards the top. Right after, next slide is where he had it embedded, right in that one, where you can see the lead official down there in the baseline.
Yeah, I can't pull that for whatever reason. It's not
Playing.
Let me see. I'm going to open with Google Slides to see real quick. It's not playing.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe we can send that out to everyone. That part of there's a couple other players. There's a good sideline call. C over there. We had to make a good judgment call on a play, and maybe Nate can send that out to the officials out there for us. But wrapping it up from us in the Northwest here. Thanks for everybody. These calls have been great under the circumstances that we operated on this year. Bobby and myself, I want to thank Bobby for helping up here in the Northwest put this together for tonight. Hopefully we all got something out of it. I know I did, researching this and putting this together for everyone. So maybe we can all improve our play calling percentage on this play and take it off the points of emphasis on the next set of rule books coming our way next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Wayne, and thank you, Bobby. That was good stuff. We appreciate the presentation. And again, sorry for taking some of your time today to get out the other information for everybody, but really good presentation, great slideshow, really good information. So I appreciate it. Again, this will be recorded and we'll send a link. So that way, if you want to go back and listen to any of it, it will be at your disposal. If anybody needs anything between now and next week, we'll have the South will be presenting next week. And we look forward to seeing you. I will not be on next week due to some family medical leave stuff, but I'll be with you in spirit. So hope everybody has a great week and great games coming up. I know you're all staying busy. Stay hydrated, take some ibuprofen, whatever it takes to get you through. And know that Nate and I are here for you. So anything you need, please holler, and have a great week ahead and a great weekend. Thanks, everybody.
Hey, and most importantly, stay healthy. Dana mentioned stay healthy. If you're hurting and the assigners are going to kill me for saying this. If you don't feel good and you're struggling to get up and down, you're sore. I know you're working a lot more now in a short period of time. Take a night off. Let your assigner know. Your health is more important than getting the game covered. Ultimately, so stay healthy. Do not hurt yourself, because we need you. And a quick shout out to CB Barton, who had a pretty horrific car accident this week out of the Northwest region. He called today, and I was excited that he called, because it was very possible that we may have never received a phone call from him again. And he pretty much walked out of that thing okay. And so if you guys have a chance, reach out to CB and just let him know that we're thinking about him. And again, take care of your fellow officials. We have to have each other's back.
Absolutely. And know that we all have yours. So if there's anything you need, let us know, and we'll be thinking of you. Have safe travels, stay safe, stay healthy, and let us know what we can do for you. And thanks for hanging in this year. I know it's been absolute insanity, so we appreciate your dedication. Have a great one, and we will talk to you in about a week, but we may talk to you before then, so call us if you need us. Thanks, everybody.
Yep. Larry, to answer your question, no, we still throw in the ball at the division line between quarters.
Thank you, Nate. I didn't even see that.
Thank you. I had got some bad information on that.
Yeah, that's okay. No worries. But yeah, Eric, you're absolutely correct. Division line, opposite table.
But you asked the question, so now you know, Larry. No problem.
Any other questions before we log off? And again, I apologize for the incorrect information. Coach cannot buy their player back in with the timeout.
Good information.
Anybody else? For those of you that are working.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, stay on a minute or two, just in case you think of something.
There's a question that just popped up, Nate.
If a defensive player plants a foot, oh yeah, sorry, Ty, we did miss that one. If a defensive player, Bobby or Wayne, do you want to answer this since you're on? If a defensive player plants a foot on the sideline to divert the dribbler, but there is no contact, what is the call?
And
So-
no contact?
No
No
contact.
contact? Huh?
No contact.
That we got nothing.
I don't know. I gotta reach out to the consultant after this meeting. That's a good question, Ty. But no, I believe that it's a no call, right, Wayne?
That's what I'd go with.
Agreed. If there's no contact, if you don't have contact, you don't have a call.
Yeah, it would be like an illegal screen that has no contact.
Yeah.
All right, Eric's on it. No contact. See, Abney, you're not needed. We got other individuals that know the answers.
See, there you go. Got to build capacity.
Hey, Nate, thanks for helping set that up. I really appreciate all the
Yeah,
help
sorry
getting those
we weren't a
videos and
little-
everything.
Sorry, we weren't a little more smooth today.
No, it's good. You guys are under the gun on a lot of stuff, and it's so appreciated. I know probably don't hear it enough, but thank you guys for all that you do. It means a lot to us and the kids, and we're out there with them. So thanks for everything you guys do. Means a
Hey,
lot.
Bobby, thanks for all that you do. I don't know too many people know that you pretty much just changed careers.
Yeah, that was a big step.
You wanna tell the individuals that are on what
What
you
I
did?
didn't even know. What'd you do?
Yeah, I'm no longer teaching. I got offered a position, asked to join this Colorado State Patrol. And so just a little over a year ago, I got hired on, and I applied and got hired on with the Colorado State Patrol. So I am now in law enforcement at the later stages in life. And yeah, it's been quite a career change, but it's very rewarding. And I could have been sent anywhere in the state of Colorado as a new home, but I got to come home to Core